because look, this. I'll take this. I mean, look, it's slow sports news. There's no doubt about that. It's definitely slow sports news to jump on the Rasmus Højlund deal. Some people do this. They jump on it and try and get the exclusive when a lot of people have been talking about it for a very long time. It was last night in the Telegraph, I think it was, that they said that Rasmus Højlund is now United's number one striker target. Yes, we've been saying it for a month, but look, we're a news show anyway, so let's just talk about the news. But so the Manchester Evening News are saying that John Murtough is holding extensive talks with Atalanta over a possible deal for striker Rasmus Højlund. The only positive thing to this is that it's from the Manchester Evening News, which is obviously in Manchester, but it's also coming from a UK outlet, which is Manchester specific. And I think that when that happens, you know, it just gives look. Some people don't trust sources, and I get that. I really, really do. That's absolutely fine. But I think that what the most important thing to do is to understand that, and it goes on to say that Ten Hag's agent is also attempting to help engineer a transfer to United for Højlund through his SEG international agency, who we know took over as his agency for Højlund quite a while ago. Look, this is where I jump in and tell you what I know. And I've been saying this for a while. Mark, we seem in a great mood today. Fingers crossed for Onana, maybe this weekend, and some sale updates, says Daniel. Yeah, we'll talk about Onana in a bit. I thought we were going to be leaving on that. Can we get a deep dive into Onana versus De Gea, says Grant. I think it's too early to talk about deep dive jokes. But there wouldn't be any points because it would... Daniel gifted a membership, by the way. There's no point because they're completely different... It's not about... Most people will say Onana's a better goalkeeper than De Gea. There's no point. They're just very different goalkeepers, and what Ten Hag wants and where we need to go is down the Onana route. Hi Mark, I love your show and tune in every day you go live. Can you say well done to my hamster Smudge for being a super brave boy at the vet, says Noel. No, it amazes me that vets actually bother to do stuff with hamsters and mice. I don't mean like in that way, do stuff. But like I watched something on the telly the other day, and it was doing an operation on a mouse's eye. I'm just like, I'm not saying if I was that vet, I'd say that's 200 quid and it's going to be a risky operation, and then you just go in, have a cup of tea, and give it an injection and say, oh, it didn't work. That would be immoral. But it's amazing what they can do. Amazing what they can do with little things. Anyway, we're moving off here. Let's get back where we were. So let's talk about Rasmus Højlund. So what's happened with Rasmus Højlund is, and this reminds me of Anthony last year. Remember on June the 10th last year, I said, Man United are in for Anthony, and it's going to hit the mainstream media in the next week. And about 4 or 5 days later, it hit the mainstream media in the UK. So where are we at with Rasmus Højlund? What have I always known? And I've told you this before, but this is where we're at. Okay. Ten Hag always wanted Rasmus Højlund. He basically wanted two strikers, and he wanted Rasmus Højlund as his younger striker. Obviously, the senior striker fell apart. But when I started talking about Rasmus Højlund, it was when Harry Kane was still possible, and as Osman was possible, because it was about the start of June, I think I started talking about it with real confidence. So at that point, a sale was still potentially going to make an impact on the transfer window. And the feeling was that Ten Hag really wants him, would try and get him in no matter what. Obviously, what's happened with the striker situation is that the big striker has disappeared. But the interest in Rasmus Højlund has always been consistent. Rasmus Højlund wants to come and play for Man United. This is not even in the last month. This is bloody ages ago. He wants to play for Manchester United. He supports Manchester United, but he wants to play for Manchester United. He wants to play for Ten Hag. He wants to play at Old Trafford. He wants to play in the Premier League. It's a dream move. He would probably jump in the water in Italy and swim here. He would love to play for Manchester United. There is no problem that side. Ten Hag really, really wants him as well. And Atalanta will do a deal. And we have got a good relationship with Atalanta. And I think those three components were why, knowing that, I started speaking about this a month ago, because not only knowing those three things, but also knowing from very, very close to the deal, and you can start guessing, but I'm not going to tell you, very, very close to the deal from one particular side, that, talks were going on, very encouraging, wasn't going to be happening in June, but, was certainly going to be one of the first 3 deals that we get done. Atalanta have worked with us on Amad. The big thing here is, the only thing here is Manchester United. Manchester United. Vekor says, why are we trying to sign an ex-Watford player in Amrabat? Hey, we're better than that as a community. Let the twats on Twitter clip up stuff like they've never made a mistake in their life. We're a better community than that. We're live for hours every day. You know, I like Angry Ginge, and, you know, he made a mistake about Amrabat playing for Watford. People jump on it like their farts don't smell. Don't be like that. Those people are saddos. Those people are sat there on Twitter with their keyboard in unhappy lives, clipping up the United Stand, trying to ridicule it. We all make mistakes. I like Angry Ginge. I think he's really, really good at what he does. He made a mistake. Oh my God. You know, nobody makes mistakes, do they? You know, I thought it was funny. I actually sent him a message and laughed about it. I said, don't worry about it, mate. I've been clipped up, you know, more times than a porn star. And, you know, most of the time it's not positive. But at the end of the day, going back to Rasmus Højlund, I just feel so elated because there's so many crappy sources out there telling you lies about bloody sales and players and that. And this is why I coined the phrase "hotter than the sun." And I know it pisses everybody off because people will go, "Why is Goldbridge always saying hotter than the sun?" And you know I've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And the reason I say it is because that's our saying for Rasmus Højlund, so that when people go, oh, you don't know anything, you don't get any information, we can go hotter than the sun. We've been saying it for weeks, and it's only now in the last 48 hours that the more credible journalists are saying United are in deep talks, stuff like that, which is great. It's music to our ears. So the real positive here is that Atalanta are not a stupid club. They're not a big club in the sense that they're not Juve and they don't want to sell. They're not Chelsea, etc. They are a club that, you know, needs to sell to survive to a certain extent, but also has a limit to its own ambition. They're never going to play in the Champions League. Well, actually, that's unfair. They could get in the Champions League, but it's unlikely. So they will do a deal for Rasmus Højlund, and it will be, as I've always said, somewhere between 40 and 50 million quid with add-ons. And that is a good deal for them. They believe in the player. Ten Hag believes in the player. Therefore, United believe in the player, and Højlund believes in himself. There is a very good deal to be done for everybody here that involves add-ons, and that's what will happen. And look, the fact that Man United, the only thing, and I'm not going to put him in 90% club because he's too important to piss about. I would put him in the 90% club. I'd have put him in the 90% club. I might have already done it a few weeks ago, but hotter than the sun basically goes beyond the 90% club in my mind. It's a new phrase, and I might get a t-shirt saying hotter than the sun on it, actually, just giving me an idea. But I think this deal gets done. Apart from the caveat that would always make me never say 100% is the world's a funny place. And the transfer world is a funny place when Manchester United are involved. So, look, player side, manager side, Atalanta side, Man United negotiating, you know, it's a bit like the guy in Gladiator, isn't it? But I think we will get it done. And I think there's so much positivity. United are putting stuff out now. Look, if Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News and the Telegraph and everyone else are talking about Højlund being #1 target for Man United, that's because the club are happy to let that be known. And if the club are happy for that to be known, the club must be very locked in. And I don't think there's much chance of a Kim Min-jae. Someone said, what about Kim Min-jae and Bayern and somebody swooping in? I don't think there's much chance of that because the player really wants Man United. It's a bit like Mason Mount. There's a number of players that we can buy this summer that really want United. Mason Mount really wanted United. Onana really wants United. Højlund really wants United. If it ends up being Amrabat, really wants United. So that's the advantage we've got.